Okay, so I'm out here. I've been going for a little while. And every once in a while, I have to stop because there's stuff I have to move out of the way because it could damage equipment in the future. And I'll show you what I mean. This is a big chunk of concrete. And if you're wondering why the heck is there concrete in your field, that comes from the dairy when we're hauling manure. Sometimes they scrape their corrals and pieces of concrete break off. It gets in the manure and we bring it out here in our manure trucks. So I have this I have to get rid of. Another thing I have to get rid of that I just picked up on my last pass is this. You almost can't see it, same color as the dirt. There's this ball of wire fencing. And I don't even know where this came from because we don't use fences. We haven't had fences anywhere on our farm. We've removed most of them. So I don't even know where that came from. Probably an old fence from an old ranch that used to be here, old pasture or something, because there used to be lots of little dairy farms all over the place. So yeah, we have to remove these. This will be the third chunk of concrete that I've lifted out of the field, because if this chunk of concrete right here gets stuck in the harvester, busts a chain or a shaft, and it just causes a mess. So with this, it doesn't really break anything, so I can move it with this and it's fine. But the next thing that comes through the field is the harvester in the fall, and it would break that.
Looks like we got a little inspector of our spud rows. Coming out here checking out what we're doing. He's been across the whole field. Dirty little fuzzball. He's checking us out without a care in the world.
Just got back to the farm. I'm fueling up, and I was looking over my machine, and you find some weird stuff out in the field. I noticed that I had this weird little hook on my plate. Let's try and get this off and see what it is. That is a horseshoe. Just in the field. Got hooked on my shank here. Oh, who knows how old that is. Judging by the rust, probably at least 60 to 80 years old is my guess. Well, seems like it's a never-ending battle to keep things out of the field. I was just turning around on the end of the field. This is a different field, and I saw a piece of metal sticking out of the ground. So this looks like it was an old fence post or something. I'm not even sure where this came from. Actually, I think this is from the dairy. This looks like something that used to block there's a spot at the dairy where they push off manure. And that looks like one of the pipes that they tie the rope across so nobody falls over it. So, we're just gonna take this and stick it by this riser over here. And that is where it'll stay. Hey, if you guys are enjoying the content, make sure to go down below and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything else. Really? I just got out to the field. I think somebody's messing with me. I don't know if I'll be able to work today. I'll show you what I mean. Yeah, if you can't tell, that's snow. Looks like we got about 2 inches of snow overnight. So yeah, everything's just a little bit muddy. Ugh. This was working really good yesterday, and yeah, it decided to get cold last night and dump 2 inches of snow. So I'm not sure what I'll be doing today, but it's definitely not going to be field work. It is quite a snowy mess, which I can't say is a bad thing, because honestly, all the crops that are in the ground, like all the grain and stuff, they'll probably love all this moisture. But for me and for us still planting potatoes, it's not ideal because we're already about 2 weeks late getting the potatoes in the ground. And this is gonna hold us up another 4 days because it's Friday. So we're not gonna be able to work today or tomorrow or Sunday. We might get in the field Monday. So yeah, wish me luck on getting back in the field in 4 days.
Well, there's the field we planted yesterday. I don't think we'll be planting spuds today. We might be a little lucky to plant tomorrow. That's one of our grain fields. Can't even tell anymore. Yesterday had a bit of a problem with my planter. This is the drive line that goes from the tractor to the planter, and as you can see, that U-joint is kind of in rough shape, and this one it tore apart when that end broke at 2,000 RPMs. There's the new drive line I'll put in there. One bad thing is this right here. When we went to put it on, this shaft that goes back in here was too long and it was hitting inside that U-joint. So we tried cutting it with our bandsaw and it wouldn't even cut this shaft. So we ended up just taking a cutting wheel on a grinder and cutting it off. And had to cut all this plastic stuff off because you see that grease hole? Well, whoever put this on, the grease zerk was on this side of the thing. A little hard to grease that grease zerk right like that. There's one part of the U-joint. And I think over here we have the part this is the part that was on the tractor. Come flying apart.
So not only am I not able to do anything in the field, the planters are not all able to do anything either. They're all parked here at the shop. They pulled over here. They finished a field. And then pulled over here to clean their cups out. So every once in a while, one thing they do have to do is they'll pull them over here, and all these little cups, they'll just spin it around, get the pressure washer, and just clean the mud out of them. And you only really have to do that if your seed gets a little wet. If your seed's dry, your cups don't usually get muddy, but right now everything's wet. So we're just at the shop trying to figure out what we should do today. 2 of these have tarps on them, so they were able to just tarp them. The other one's sitting in the shop because it does not have a tarp. What you doing, Christopher?
Well, the tarp that we tarped the potatoes with is clear full of water. So I was going to try and pick up what I could and dump out the water because it's supposed to rain and snow again like Sunday night if we don't plant today or tomorrow. So I'm not 100% sure how they planned on this keeping rain and water out unless your machine is clear all the way full. Because if it's not full, then this can just sag down like this and not be covered.
Yeah, that looks like a problem.
They almost need, like a semi has this style of tarp, but it also has those metal braces that you can kind of swing from one side to the other. They almost need a little brace that if you do need to tarp it, just swing the brace over so that the tarp stays up over top of the, it doesn't, if there's no potatoes, the tarp will stay up high, shed the water off versus just sagging down.
Yeah, we could siphon the water out. Just a hose.
There's a lot of snow too.
Maybe let it finish melting and then we can siphon it out.
Maybe you can get in here and help me and we can lift it up.
Yeah, we'll try that.
Here we go. Let's see if these two are man enough to pick up and dump the snow. Oh.
I think all my water went to your side.
Taryn's just helping Christopher out by putting all the weight on his side.
Water's on that side.
Come on, McGilla, heave it up.
I gotta get Terrence water back. Now it's all on this side.
You gotta lift at the same time.
It's just sloshing from side to side.
You just roll it up.
Yeah.
Now just push it.
then it'll eventually just dump it all in here.
You want a third body up there in the middle?
How about we just get a bucket? Well, get a bucket. Get a 5-gallon bucket.
Here's your
We just need a bucket.
You get one.
New ice bath challenge, Trevor. There
Yeah, I'm not standing under that.
Here, I'll show you. No, I mean get in it.
Woo! Nice little slush ball.
It's full of snow. I'm ready. Nice guy. Christopher, you want one too? I got a whole over
It's
here.
a little too heavy. Oh, he hit me with water. Yo, it's hard to find good help these days. Just covering our four-wheeler, washing the snow off.
Getting this nice bath.
The things you gotta do when it snows in May.
How high is the water, Mama? 6 feet high.
Hey, don't do that. You're gonna knock the shop over.
Oh, let's do it
It's
again.
probably sagging.
Okay, now
And there we go. All done.
we just got to retarp it.
So Christopher hopped in there. He's gonna top off this tank right here, and then we're gonna fill these up. We're just gonna get everything ready. So if it's sunny enough that we can go tomorrow, then we'll go. So basically there's this little hydraulic pump right here that's plumbed into these big tanks, and that's what he's using to fill it up. I don't think it's running right now though. It's going up slowly. Makes it pretty nice. We just have to fill these big tanks once a day, and then they can just fill their own little tank up. They can fill their little tank up as they're planting, so we don't have to stop and fill up. That's one reason they've been able to plant way faster this year. They've been planting about 200 acres a day. If we could plant, we'd be done in 3 to 4 days. So now that tank is full, and we'll get these ones topped off. So here's our fertilizer truck. It holds enough to fill all 3 planters. Right now we're just filling these tanks up. Gotta fill this one. They are hooked together, but we have to fill one and then we have to fill the other one. There's a hose that goes underneath that ties them together, but it won't fill them fast enough to just fill one side. So we fill one side, then we fill the other side.
As you can see, you're off. It chose the wrong line, so now I got to go back through and replant what's already been planted before.
We just came out to the field. We got after that snowstorm, we did go plant the next day, actually 2 days later. And then we got rain over the weekend. And you can kind of tell if you look right here. This is dry because the tractor protected it. This is all kind of wet. But we thought it was gonna be too wet to plant, but now that we're out here servicing everything, it looks like we might actually be able to plant today. We only have a day and a half left of planting, about 250-ish acres. It's only take us, a day and a half. So we're just out here greasing everything, checking everything over, making sure the cups aren't muddy up in those little holes. You get too much mud built up in there, then you lose your suction. You have to take it and spray it out. But we're just getting everything serviced, everything ready to go. We may plant later today because this isn't too bad. You can see that this is kind of a sandy field, which when things are sandy, you can usually work it better when it's a little wet. So we're just trying to decide if we can actually plant today, but I think we probably can. Just greasing up all the U-joints, all these. This one's nice. You do have to grease these U-joints, but then all the other bearings have this one spot I think there's 4 zerks on the back that look like this, where you have a zerk right here, and then you have 8 hoses going to all these different bearings, and then this one in the middle right here, you grease that one, and it goes to all the bearings that go along the whole main line, the drive shaft, and it goes to this shaft. Grease all of them, then you have that one right there. So you grease 3 spots and you pretty well grease the whole machine, other than the U-joints on the drive line on the PTO. All right, we're ready. Everything is loaded, or not loaded, everything's serviced. We're just finishing loading up the planters. With one of these 10-wheelers, we can load 2 planters. So that's if they're all the way empty. If they're not all the way empty, we can usually load all 3 of them. But we'll see how much we can actually get loaded with these 2 planters, this one truck. It is really windy out here today, so I'm probably not going to do a whole lot of filming, but I just thought I would show you kind of what we're doing today. This is a sandier field, so they decided that they can probably go. So we're gonna get them loaded up here and they'll take off. This field is almost done. Probably only take 1 load of each planter and this field will be done. Just have this little bit right here. And then we'll be moving to the next one. Almost full. Now you can tell how wet it is. Where the planter was sitting is nice and dry. Didn't get any rain on it. And then over here, yeah, there you can tell. All the planters are going. Trevor's down there on the other end. Josh is right here. He just got finished loading. He's gonna take off. Christopher took off to the next field already because these 2 planters full will probably about finish this up. So just see him take off. So you can kind of see a little bit better how this works. On this tractor, you have a little bit more open view to the side. Granted, it's probably really windy, so sorry about the wind. Patch done pretty quick, and they'll get moved over onto the next one. They'll probably do about 100 acres today. Seems how we started late with the rain. So we finally got dried out enough. All the snow melted, all the rain's dried out. Still a little wet here on the end. Sorry about the wind. And yeah, I'm gonna get going here finally after about 5 days. Nothing, and see how much we can get done with the Dammer Diker here. Now they are going to be done planting today, so they finish a lot faster than me because they've got 3 planters. So it's going to take me probably 20 days to finish, and they finished 1,200 acres in 7 days. So yeah, I'm gonna get going here and we'll see what we can get done. All right, well, back to the farm now. Just gotta fuel this thing up. I'm not completely empty, but I'm waiting for Christopher to send me the coordinates for the next field because we gotta be on the same line. So I'm gonna fuel up while I wait. We're gonna reset this so we can see how much fuel we put in. I've got about, I don't know, maybe a third of a tank left, so. Not completely empty, but we will see what our final numbers are. Just quick talk. Let's go see if I can spill all the diesel onto the tractor. Let's go see what we got here. Put this back up there. If I can get it on the right spot. 111 gallons. So that'll last me about a day, maybe less. We will give it a shot. All right, back out to the field to go. So you might be thinking 111 gallons is only gonna last you a day. Actually, it won't even last a day, because if I do a full day, because today I got a late start because of the weather, but if I do a full day, it'll use a whole tank, which is probably closer to 150 to 180 gallons. And that's just on this one tractor. And we've been running 5 tractors, guys. So, I mean, in 1 year, you saw those big tanks. In 1 year, we will go through about 60 to 70,000 gallons of diesel. And we're not even, in my area, there's farms that are way bigger than we are. So, yeah, farming is expensive, and it takes a lot of fuel to run all this stuff. Well, here it is, the 7th of May. I'm out here dammer diking still, and will be for like the rest of the month. And we've got a snowstorm that's moved in. Because, you know, who can have a May without snow? Seems like we never can. And we usually get at least 1 or 2 snowstorms during planting. But this year, I think this is the 3rd snowstorm during planting, so. Yeah, just out here in the snow. It won't stop me at all. I'll just keep on going, but it is snowing now. It's pretty cold out there. Now it's kind of turned into hail, but I've been joined by a little hawk here. Oh yeah, red-tailed hawk. That's usually what we have around here. Just enjoying the snow / hail. Starting to accumulate a little bit, but the ground was pretty dry, so this will probably actually help me out. It's sure making my rows look nice and white, but I'll just work all this moisture in. We'll keep on going.
So I thought I'd give a little update where we're at. Today we are on our last field, which is awesome. We are out here kind of by the lava beds. If you can kind of see, there's lava rocks and stuff out there. That radio tower, and there's a few other towers. That's kind of, we're just off of the interstate I-15, kind of between Firth and Shelley, kind of where the rest stop is. There's a rest stop out here on the interstate. We're kind of close to that, but as you can see, we're still planting. We're still moving. But we are on the last field today. Oh, the last field brings its own set of challenges. So we've got to make sure, planting 1,200 acres, we plant about 25 sacks per acre. That comes out to almost 30,000 sacks of seed. Well, if you're a ½ inch off or an inch off, it could, you know, if you did a half of a sack less per acre, comes out you'll have 600 sacks left over. So it's really hard to adjust. What I just got done doing, I have a few apps on my phone that I can measure the field area. So I measured the field area, figured we just have 87 acres left. I times that by the 25 sacks per acre, divided it by roughly 300 sacks that we put on a truck to bring out. So I called my guys at the cellar who are loading up all the seed. I said, hey, I got, you know, I roughly need 7 1/4 trucks for the rest of what I have left. They said, well, there might only be 7. So then we're trying to play a little bit with these numbers right here, our seed spacing. Well, we can adjust our seed spacing, you know, either bump it to 12 inches, 12 and a half, 13 inches would be better than to run out. Or if we're gonna have extra, we can speed it up and do, you know, 10, 11 inches, just so we don't waste seed and have some left over. A lot of times, It's kind of hard to get rid of seed that you've already cut and treated, but it also, by the time you cut and treat seed, you got a lot of money into it. So you're probably looking at, you know, $15, $20 per sack of seed that you have into it. So we really don't want to have any left over. So we're just trying to, once we're down here to the wire of the last 80 acres, 85 acres, we're trying to figure out exactly how things are going to lay out and come out. Same thing goes with fertilizer right there. I'd rather run out of fertilizer than have a bunch left over, because obviously you don't want to waste and spend extra money. Once it's delivered out here, usually they can't take it back. What we have done, if we have in the past, if we have a lot left over, what we've done is dump some into some tanks by some of our irrigation pumps, that it can inject it, do a chemigation injection into the main line and put a little bit of that, you know, 1034 onto the potato crop or other crops if it needs it. But we would like to come out about right at the same, you know, run out of fertilizer, same time we run out of seed, same time we finish the field. So doing most of it, we don't worry too much about all this until we get down to the last field. We got to do a lot of calculations. Anyway, that's where we're at. So we will hopefully get done planting today and finish planting all of the seeds and all of the crops that we have this year. It'll be a good feeling to not spend 15, 16-hour days in the tractor all the time.
So I've finally made it over to the edge of the field. I've done this whole field, and there's a pivot over here. So I am getting pretty close to the pivot, but I'm not actually hitting it. You can see the tire there. It's just past it. So pretty close, but I will not hit the pivot, luckily. And you might be wondering why there's two pivots right here next to each other. Well, we own one side, somebody else owns the other side, but this year we're renting it from them. So one pivot waters one side, one pivot waters the other side. Ideally, there would just be one pivot that would water this entire field, because that could happen. We have other fields that do that. But in this case, we don't own both halves. So that's just how the way it works. Oh, I just got to get out and stretch my legs a little bit. Walk back here. Anybody in the restroom? There's nobody in there. I just thought I'd walk back, see how this thing's working. It seems to be working good. I keep checking the depth, and the depth seems fine. But it started to rain on me, so I'm gonna get back in the tractor. Just getting this thing put back in the ground for another round. I hope you guys have liked this this video. It's just been kind of a mashup of a whole bunch of clips that I've got throughout planting, because I'm out here in the Dammerdyker and they were out there in the planters. They actually have just finished. Man, my hand is shaking. This Dammerdyker kind of shakes everything a little bit, but they're actually done planting. They just finished last night, but I have a lot to do. Let's see, I don't even think I'm a quarter of the way done yet, so I've got many, many more days, probably a couple of weeks left of Dammerdyking until I'm done. But yeah, these are all just clips that I've caught throughout planting, so hope you've enjoyed it. I love you. See you in the next one.